How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another XRP update and a crazy turn of events. If you saw by my thumbnail yesterday, we actually had some bearish signals, and during my video, this candle was a lot larger to the downside. However, you can see as the time passed and the daily candle close came in, things changed. It reversed and actually maintained this key level, the Fibonacci $2.28. Now, over the past few weeks, I have mentioned this key level. In fact, when we were rejecting $2.46, I was saying $2.28 needs to hold. During yesterday's video, it was actually beneath that level. So my assumption was the prior days being this shooting star, confirming this level as resistance, followed by a bearish engulfing pattern, and then followed by a failed bullish breakout. So there was an attempt for the bulls to step back in. Now, a fundamental news event came today to shift the momentum. So you could even argue that whales yesterday, insiders, had already known this fact, and just before the end of the day, of course, closed the candle nicely above that $2.28 zone, the 382 fib, and of course the news was hit that the SEC dropped the case. Now, for a move like this, whales are moving this. Of course, a 10% move, that's like 15 billion market cap. 15 billion needs to come in. So this is definitely insiders or whales doing this, but I am certain that we have seen this news come out before that the SEC dropped the case. Anyways, you could say that they're trying to create a narrative here and force a pump. I would say go and check out my Bitcoin updates as well if you do have time. Very important, at least to me. But Bitcoin is coming to a very key level of resistance, and it's the market leader. Although a fundamental news event like a SEC dropping the case is bullish specifically to XRP, Bitcoin is attempting to break out bullish after reversing from this very key level of support. It was actually the final level of the defense, the final reversal point for Bitcoin. In fact, the last few days, like XRP, it was looking quite negative. But in my videos, I'm suggesting this could be the final area it could bounce from. And what must happen is a recovery of the 200 EMA. If that is recovered, 85.5K, you can see we've still got 4.5 hours left. But if that is recovered, a further move up is going to happen. So I'd expect the same for XRP. And that would actually attempt to recover the first golden ratio zone, 618 to 65. Right now, I'm going to get rid of this, or I can drag it down here and create a green box with it to show that this level is support. And currently, still needs to see the head and shoulders neckline as well as $3.15 recovered. But on the recovery of $3.15, understand that the targets of $5 to $6.50, but yeah, they become the targets for XRP. So you can have that in the back of your mind ready, but please do understand, at least in my opinion, if I show you some past examples of previous Bitcoin charts, there is always going to be that risk that this could be a fake move up, or otherwise known as a dead cat bounce, which we saw multiple times throughout the last year. Bitcoin had looked like it had bottomed out and started a wave back up, which spanned between the month of the 20th of March all the way through to the 12th of April. So many weeks passed, almost a month, reaches the final golden ratio zone, 886 fib, and then goes down and heads into a new lower low. After putting in that lower low, you can see the 1st of May up until the 6th of June, a month passes, and it looks like it's bottomed out and continuing higher. But failing to break the 886 naturally means it can still form a new lower low, because only on the break of this final layer of defense is the reversal wave created, where you see these higher up targets. And eventually in the future, you can see that level was eventually broken and those targets were eventually met. However, taking this back to XRP now, we can see that level and that zone between the 786 and 886 lies at $3 to $3.15. And with those previous examples, you can see there could be a move up into there that fails to break out and heads to new lows. That's just going to be in the back of my mind. Until that's broken, I feel like that is the primary path that it's on. The bullish path is a secondary path because so many things need to go in his favor. There's many hurdles up ahead. The easier path is for it to just tap into resistances and roll over lower, since we are printing a high and then a lower high you got a low, then a lower low. So the structure is actually saying the next rejection point for XRP should be the Head and Shoulders neckline, the 618 and 65, part of the golden ratio. Maybe you can argue as high as $2.83 now, because since there are some wicks up there. I will of course update it as it develops in the next day, but going forward I really want to see this breached. I'm going to actually increase this zone now, because we're coming into a crossroads. It's going to decision needs to be made. A deciding factor is going to be made. So we need to see this Head and Shoulders neckline recovered. It's currently resistant. This is where I'm expecting it to reject. By breaking and closing today's candle through $2.46 and the 0.5 Fibonacci, that should mean that Bitcoin is also breaking out and heading into that next zone up there. So I'd like to see XRP follow suit and pump into the golden ratio 618 all the way up and $2.65 all the way up until $2.83, where I think naturally it just has to fail. It can then build up again and break out, recover it. Maybe it just needs to reject this area at first, pull back, test to see if this new support maintains, use it as a pivot point to actually break through this zone. And then we've got the final layer of defense, 315. Once 315 is cleared, guys, oh my gosh, I'll be the most bullish out of everyone. But until that is recovered, I've shown you on those Bitcoin charts, it could pump up into there. It could take a month to pump up into there. This is a lot quicker, isn't it? I've shown examples where it took over a month to get to the 886 and still went to new lows. You'd say, okay, a month of going up surely means it's going to sustain, right? So the speed doesn't really matter. I think if it happens faster, it's actually more negative, like this candle over here. Pumped up too much, so we filled in that wick. I still think this wants to be tested. Let's see. It doesn't necessarily need to, as long as higher lows are being formed, which you can see at the lows down over here since this capitulation wick. Currently do have a high low. With the bodies, you got lower lows, right? There is that chance. Break through these two levels. I will be the most bullish out of you, because that's when the reversal wave is created and all of these become expected targets of mine. Until then, there is that risk of lower. Next test is the Head and Shoulders neckline. That's it from me today. Like, subscribe, comment and share. Help me get to 10k subs. If you have any questions about crypto, want to learn, if you want to do one-to-one mentorship or group mentorship, there are multiple options on the website. Use the links down below and navigate through it. Cheers. I'll see you in there.